When you stack multiple All-Stars on one roster, the expectation? Simple. Championships. Fans imagine a dynasty, the media hype is inevitable, but history tells us that just because you put big names together doesn't mean it'll work. In fact, some of the most hyped super teams in NBA history ultimately ended in disappointment, drama, and what-ifs that fans still debate today. Today we're breaking down 5 NBA super teams that failed miserably. From the bright lights of Los Angeles to the chaos in Brooklyn, these are the teams that looked unbeatable on paper but couldn't make it work on the court. Let's start with one of the most infamous examples, the 2013 Los Angeles Lakers. The formula seemed flawless. Pair Kobe Bryant, still playing at an elite level, with Dwight Howard, who was then considered the best center in the league, and Steve Nash, a 2-time MVP point guard, add in Pau Gasol, one of the most skilled big men in the NBA, and you've got 4 future Hall of Famers. It was marketed as a resurrection of Showtime. The Lakers were supposed to be unstoppable. But right from the start, the cracks showed. Nash broke his leg just 2 games into the season, robbing him of his trademark quickness. Dwight Howard was still recovering from back surgery and clearly wasn't 100%, and his playful personality clashed with Kobe's intense win at all costs Mamba mentality. Pau Gasol, once a perfect sidekick, looked lost in Mike D'Antoni's fast-paced system, which wasn't built for 2 traditional big men. And then there was the coaching carousel. The Lakers fired Mike Brown just 5 games in the season, flirted with bringing back Phil Jackson, and instead chose D'Antoni. That decision haunted him, as the system never fit the roster. Even so, Kobe carried the team on his back, playing insane minutes down the stretch just to secure a playoff berth, but then tragedy struck. He tore his Achilles tendon late in the season. The Lakers limped into the playoffs, only to get swept in the first round by the Spurs. What was supposed to be a dynasty ended up in disaster. Nash never really got healthy again. Dwight left for Houston, and Kobe never really returned to MVP form after his Achilles injury. Not to mention the fact that he played nearly 20 years in the league. A team that looked like it had championship DNA ended up being remembered as one of the biggest flops in NBA history. The 03-04 Lakers. Funny enough, that wasn't the first time that this happened. Roll the clocks back to 04. The Lakers already had Kobe and Shaq, the most dominant duo in basketball, but management wasn't satisfied. They wanted to cement a dynasty. So they added Gary Payton, one of the greatest point guards ever, and they added Karl Malone, the NBA's second all-time leading scorer. 4 Hall of Famers on one team. The media dubbed them the 4 Horsemen. Many fans believed the season was over before it started, and the Lakers were destined to win it all. But the problem was lurking beneath the surface. Karl Malone, despite still being productive, was 40 years old, and injuries slowed him through the season. Gary Payton never found his groove in the triangle offense, struggling to adapt his ball-dominant style to Phil Jackson's system. And then, of course, there was the Shaq-Kobe feud. The relationship had been rocky for years, but during that season it reached a breaking point. Shaq was frustrated about his contract, Kobe was dealing with off-court legal troubles, and the team's chemistry was all over the place. Despite the drama, the Lakers made it all the way to the finals, where they faced the underdog Detroit Pistons. And everyone expected LA to dominate. Instead, the Pistons completely dismantled them with suffocating defense, unselfish ball movement, and a blue-collar mentality. The Lakers lost in just 5, and the dynasty was officially over. Shaq was traded that summer, Phil Jackson stepped away, and Karl Malone retired. This team is remembered not for what it achieved, but for what it wasted. A golden opportunity to win one more title with one of the most talented rosters ever assembled. Next, we have the 2013-2014 Brooklyn Nets. This really hurts, and we're going to go right to Brooklyn, and probably one of the most lopsided trades in NBA history. In 2013, the Nets were desperate to make a splash. The owner, whose name I can't pronounce, had promised a championship within 5 years, and GM Billy King pushed all the chips to the center of the table. The Nets traded for aging legends Paul Pierce and KG, fresh off their Celtics glory days, along with Joe Johnson, Deron Williams, and Brook Lopez. The roster was stacked with star power. On paper, it looked like the perfect mix of veteran leadership and scoring options. The problem, Garnett and Pierce were way past their prime. Garnett could barely play 25 a night. Deron Williams, who was once considered one of the top point guards in the league, was rapidly declining, and the roster was expensive, top-heavy, and lacked depth. The team won just 44 games and limped into the playoffs and was eliminated in the second round. Pierce left after just one season. Garnett was traded away soon after. Meanwhile, the Celtics walked away with a treasure chest of draft picks that turned into Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and the foundation of a new contender. For the Nets, the trade wasn't just a failure, it was catastrophic. They mortgaged their future for short-term success that never came. Nearly a decade later, fans still point to this as one of the most disastrous super team experiments in NBA history, and that hurts as a Nets fan. Now, not every failed super team is built through blockbuster trades. Sometimes, the disappointment comes when young talent and star power simply can't mesh. And that was the story of the 2019 Boston Celtics. The season before, the Celtics had come within one game of the finals without their two best players, Kyrie Irving and Gordon Hayward, who were both injured. Young stars like Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Terry Rozier stepped up and looked ready for stardom. With Kyrie and Hayward returning, the hype for the next season was massive. The Celtics were supposed to dominate the East. Some even picked them to win the title. But instead of blossoming, the team imploded. Kyrie clashed with the young fellas, publicly calling them out for not understanding what it takes to win. The younger players resented his attitude and wanted more touches. Hayward, still recovering from a gruesome leg injury, struggled to regain his form, creating a logjam at the wing positions, and the locker room chemistry was toxic. Despite the talent, Boston couldn't get it together. They finished with a disappointing regular season record and fell apart in the second round of the playoffs against the Bucks. Kyrie left for Brooklyn that summer, Rozier was traded, and what was supposed to be a dynasty never really got off the ground. It's a reminder that even when you have all the talent in the world, egos and chemistry can destroy everything. And finally, we arrive at maybe the most infamous failed super team in the modern era. The Brooklyn Nets with KD, Kyrie, and James Harden. On paper, this looked unfair. Three of the best scorers of their generation on the same roster. A big three that was supposed to dominate the league for years and rack up championships. The hype was off the charts. From the very beginning, drama overshadowed everything. Injuries hit hard. Durant missed stretches, Harden dealt with hamstring problems, and Kyrie was often unavailable due to off-court issues, including the vaccine controversy that kept him out of home games. The three stars barely played together, logging fewer than 20 games as a trio. In the 21 playoffs, they looked like title favorites until injuries to Harden and Kyrie left Durant carrying the load alone against the Bucks. His foot on the line three-pointer in Game 7 became the symbol of just how close his team came to fulfilling its potential. But instead of regrouping, things spiraled. Harden forced a trade to Philly. Kyrie clashed with the front office and repeatedly, and eventually both Kyrie and KD demanded trades. Within just 3 years, the so-called super team was completely dismantled. Having won just a single playoff series together, the Nets went from championship favorites to one of the league's biggest cautionary tales about chemistry, egos, and durability. Again, another one that hurts me personally. So there you have it. 5 NBA super teams that failed miserably. The 2013 Lakers, who collapsed under injuries and egos. The 2004 Lakers, who couldn't overcome chemistry issues. 2014 Nets, who sold their future for aging stars. 2019 Celtics couldn't balance young talent and veterans. And the 2023 Nets, who proved the drama and instability can undo even the most talented roster. If there's one lesson we can learn from all this, it's that basketball isn't won on paper. It's won with chemistry, health, and teamwork. Superstars might sell jerseys and headlines, but without the right balance, even the biggest names can fall short. Which of these failed super teams do you think was the biggest disappointment, and did I miss any that deserved to be on this list? Let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more deep dives into NBA history. Peace out.